Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in today. We're going to be taking a look at some of the highest scoring NFL games in recent memory. I like doing videos like this where we just focus on games that we can really remember, back to like 2015, 2016. I think the earliest one I have on here is from 2007, but generally the era is going to be like 2015 to 2022, just very high scoring games where both teams score a bunch of points, and we will begin with that legendary Monday night game between the Chiefs and the Rams when Patrick Mahomes was breaking out. These were the two best teams. Remember how good the Rams were with that offense? Jared Goff going for 413. I originally thought this was the Mexico City game, but it wasn't. This game was at the LA Coliseum. The Rams had to play there for a few years as SoFi was being built, and this was during a renovation to the LA Coliseum. The one side of it was being renovated during the game, so just kind of an interesting thing there, but 54-51, Mahomes goes for 478, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, really not much in terms of rushing. Kareem Hunt was a beast when he was, very young on the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill goes for 215, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks has a good game. Yeah, that Rams offense with Sean McVay, it's crazy that nucleus, they scored 3 points in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. They lost that game 13-3. But yeah, this was a crazy game. Jared Goff versus Mahomes. The Rams end up winning 54-51. Moving on to the next one, I remember this. This was the greatest quarterback season of all time. Peyton Manning, Week 4, 2013, one of those 425 games at AT&T Stadium. You've got the sun coming into the stadium through the cracks in the window. Denver wins 51-48. This was the Julius Thomas team, the Eric Decker, Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas. You had Noshawn Marino, Peyton Manning, 33 of 42, 414. And I remember he had a rushing touchdown in this game as well, a 1-yard rushing touchdown where he faked out everyone. This was the game where Tony Romo unfortunately threw a late interception. The dude went for 506. Tony Romo was a beast, man. I remember when the Cowboys drafted Zeke and Tony Romo got injured during that preseason game in Seattle, and that was like the only time that Zeke and Tony Romo played together. They drafted Zeke with the 4th overall pick. Yeah, DeMarco Murray had a ridiculous year, but Peyton Manning was just ridiculous, and this was just an all-time shootout 425 game there. This is the game from 2007, so going all the way back, the Cleveland Browns, believe it or not, they were really good in 2007. Now, they didn't make the playoffs because the format was a little bit different. There were less teams that made it. 51-45, a random Week 2 game. Derek Anderson versus Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer goes for 6 passing touchdowns. Derek Anderson goes for 5. Braylon Edwards goes for 146 and 2 touchdowns. Chad Johnson, or Chad Ochocinco, 11 catches, 209 and 2 touchdowns. Very rare to see this high of a scoring game. Very rare to see this high of a scoring game in Cleveland. You just normally don't see games like this, like shootouts in Cleveland, although it was Week 2, so it was warm out, it was sunny, it was a 1 o'clock start. Jamal Lewis also went for 216 rushing yards. Yeah, Jamal Lewis was a beast in 2007. The Browns win this game 51-45. The next game, this is just kind of a random 2019 game. I believe this was during Jameis Winston's crazy season when he had 33 passing touchdowns and 33 interceptions. Well, this was one of his better games on the road early in the season in LA at the Coliseum. Jameis Winston goes for 385, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Todd Gurley had a very strange stat line in this game because the Rams were playing catch up throughout the entire game. 5 carries, 16 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jared Goff, almost 70 pass attempts. He goes for 517, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. 55-40, Chris Godwin during his breakout season, 12 catches for 172, 2 touchdowns, and Robert Woods had 13 catches for 164. There's kind of a hidden high-scoring game. That's like a game you forgot existed. 55-40 battle was Jameis Winston versus Jared Goff, and the Bucs won that game. The next one, there's going to be a lot of Saints games involved because they just had no defense during the era like the late 2010s when Drew Brees was winding down his his career. Here's one, Jimmy G versus Drew Brees at the Superdome, 48-46. Jimmy G goes for 349, 4 touchdowns. Emmanuel Sanders, probably his best game as a 49er, 157 and a touchdown. Michael Thomas, he was a beast for like 4 seasons. Drew Brees goes for 349, 5 touchdowns, but he still loses because the Saints just had a horrible defense in the 2010s. They were always involved in crazy shootouts. This is a weird situation. So the Seahawks and Lions faced each other 2 times in the year 2022. Now, the first time was like towards the end of the season, towards the end of the 2021 season. The Seahawks crushed the Lions 51-29. And then the next season, the start of the 2022 season, you can see October 2nd, 48-45. So these two teams played each other in the span of like 10 months, and they were both ridiculously high-scoring games. And you can see the 48-45 game at Ford Field. This was Geno Smith taking over after the Russell Wilson trade to Denver, and he had a very nice game, 322 touchdowns. Rashard Penny breakout alert, 151 and 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, very nice. TJ Hawkinson goes for 179 and 2 touchdowns. Jared Goff has been involved in a lot of these. But yeah, this was a very nice high-scoring game. And then this was the other one. So this is definitely a game pretty much everyone forgot about because it's meaningless. You can see Seattle's record at 6-10. This was like one of the final games Russell Wilson played as a Seahawk before he got traded. And then Detroit at this point sitting at 2-13-1. Tim Boyle starting for them, and they put up 29 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, you'll take it if you've got him in fantasy, 8 for 111 and a touchdown, but 51 points, and their leading receiver had 2 catches. Just very, very strange. Rashard Penny again. I think those might have been his 2 best games of his career. Pretty crazy. This is a random game from 2008 that I found. NFC versus AFC, 1 o'clock start at Giant Stadium. Before MetLife existed, because MetLife opened in 2010, the Jets hosting the Cardinals. So the Cardinals and Kurt Warner playing a rare outdoor game. Kurt Warner, 57 pass attempts, 472, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Brett Favre, 289, 6 touchdowns, and an interception. Larry Fitzgerald had a nice game, 56-35. The Jets very rarely are involved in high-scoring games, so that is certainly a rare one right there. And then this is the Saints and the Lions. So you can see the Saints win this game 52-38. Drew Brees, weird situation here. Only 186, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Mark Ingram has a good game, but the Lions turned the ball over a bunch. Matt Stafford, 3 interceptions. Only 25 of 52. Not good in terms of completion percentage, but the Lions were playing catch-up this entire game, and that's why Stafford threw it a bunch. But the Saints ended up winning, dropping a 50-burger. And then the final one, this was back in 2021. The Browns still trying it with Baker Mayfield. I mean, this was a good game early in the season, 425 start. 47-42. Justin Herbert goes for 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, Mike Williams has a big game. I remember this game. David Njoku had like an 80-yard receiving touchdown. Nick Chubb had 21 carries, 161 and a touchdown. Baker Mayfield had a good game, but the Browns ended up losing this one. I also remember the Browns being involved in a shootout on Monday night against Baltimore. I don't have that game included here, but it was around the same score, like 47-42 or something like that. It was very high scoring. But either way, guys, those are just some random high scoring games in recent memory. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.